The world needs you to optimize your assets so that you can become a true powerhouse and, most importantly, an impactful force for good. In this episode, we're going to teach you and show you precisely how to do that. Broke to Woke Season 3 is going exceptionally well.
My gosh. Way better than we thought. People are reaching out from all over the world. This has been so amazing. Thank you all for listening.
Absolutely. From the bottom of our hearts. Thank you. And we're still going. We still got a lot left in the tank. And this episode, we're going to be talking about impact. Brittany, you've always been focused on impact, but how did you exponentialize it?
Well, if you only have so much time, you know, the billionaire and the beggar have the same 24 hours, then how can you make everything you do have a bigger and bigger impact, a bigger movement? And that's what I love about when Cardi B says, I used to dance, now I make money moves. It's the same actions, but different ripple effects. She was a dancer, but now when she moves her body, she's making so much money. She can't even call it dancing. It's money moves. So how can, instead of me just going to do work to then result in making money, how do I go to do work that makes money, makes impact, changes the world as we know it in the ways that I find extremely valuable and want to see the world be bettered in my one chance on earth? And so this concept started when I went from doing single family homes to developments.
Okay.
I'm a very impatient person, and I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Because my impatience led me to wanting to make a difference like now. I didn't want to just slowly become a millionaire to then be able to help and take money from this source to this other bucket. These are the lanes and the boxes. No, they got it. I'm just so not interested and so not driven unless it's helping people. I cannot get up and do the work. I just can't do it. I'm not naturally like that at all. So it's got to be tied to my why. So when I went from single family homes to developments, I asked the team, hey, how could we use this development as a force for good? And like, what the frick are you talking about?
Yeah.
And that's when we started saying, well, if we've been entrusted with / bought 10 acres in this specific region, what are the needs of that region? And we literally just Googled it. And at the time, Tennessee was number 4 in the nation for highest rating of obesity-related deaths. And 1 out of every 5 people died from obesity-related problems. And
1 of every 5?
1 out of every 5. It
That
was
is
terrible.
Wow.
And so I said, all right, well, let's make a health and wellness development to normalize getting out and getting active. And so that's when we started thinking, what else do we have? You know, how can we be a blessing with everything we've been entrusted with our apartments? Can each building in this apartment community that we own sponsor a child in Africa?
Yep.
Can we as a community donate X amount of dollars from this, but not only taking a portion of the wealth created, but the asset itself creates impact by changing our operations. For example, we spent the money to build a building to allow farm deliveries to be able to come into the community, and people can sign up for a monthly payment to this local farm to be able to source fresh organic food, which changed apartment lives because a lot of the people that lived there were highly out of shape. They were always ordering food. The clientele was just busy lives. They didn't have time to get out and shop. But with that delivery, they now had health accessible to them and their children in ways they didn't before. The way we lay out the common areas, instead of having a club room where it's like a business center, we call them innovation spaces. And we, again, design things for people to get comfortable creating and coming up with ideas and sharing ideas and connecting with each other. So design is so powerful whenever you have been entrusted with something. Now, you may not be a designer. I wasn't. But I didn't let it stop me. I just started studying more. Naturally not a designer whatsoever.
What were you studying at that time?
I just studied everything that I could possibly get my hands on that worked. And I prayed and said, God, tell me how to do this, because my mom's like, poor Brittany, she doesn't have a design bone in her body.
What?
Nothing.
Did not
She's
know
like,
that.
this is the hopeless tomboy child
This is blowing my mind.
that I've had. All the other girls have got this gene and it skipped Brittany.
Yeah.
But no, I'm now not known for design. So how do I take my values and the things I want to see happen on the earth and weave them into the operations, the design, and the ripple effect of anything that I possibly own? So as you have experienced on this island, it's the greatest expression of how I've done that. But I want you to think through all of your life, audit it. What lanes can I be more impactful? Can I be more impactful with my social media? You have 10,000 followers or 200 followers, doesn't matter. How can I start incorporating the things I really care about and share them with other people? How can I take the encouragement I received today and put that out there as well? You know, if people are following you, they're following you. What do you want to give your followers?
Yep.
So it's there. It can also be the kinds of businesses that you invest in or build. And so I made the adjustment last year, as I'm just constantly trying to tweak to be more impactful. I only want to make money. I don't even want to source money from anywhere other than impact-driven initiatives that positively elevate people and places. And I made a list of what that looks like. So that means nation developing. That means if I invest in stocks, it's only in companies that I want to further what they're doing, even if you can make a lot of money in a month quickly. If I don't like video games, for whatever reason, if that's something that's important to me, I don't want to invest in video games.
Yeah.
That's just the thing.
I've done that too.
So start asking yourself those questions, because you've already got so much. Even if you have an iPhone that you're listening to this on, or any kind of phone that you're listening to this on, and that's all you have on this earth. What can you do with that phone to be a force for good?
There's always a way.
Always a way.
Yep. Use what you have available, use those resources to become intentional. This is the one thing I want to pull out of you in this episode, if I can. How do you come up with the ideas, though, of that intentionality? Like just the innovation space. How did you know to sit down and think of, I need to rename this and give it an intention?
That one's a little bit of a long story, but what makes Nashville interesting? So again, I was in the mindset of developing nations, and I wanted to learn how to do that.
Yep.
And so I would practice in places other people didn't believe in, but around places people did. So people believe in Nashville, but they don't like these sections of Nashville.
Okay.
Well, what makes people drawn to Nashville in the first place? Artists. Well, why do people like artists? Because they like freedom, they like creativity, they like a real authentic experience. They like people who tap into blah, 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 blah. So I studied, I like to look at the root of why people like anything. And then I say, okay, well, how can I take what makes people drawn to artists and what makes artists drawn to living here and incorporate them in this neighborhood, and then make sure I share that story. And so when I was designing that, I said, well, Nashville's specifically a place to record because people feel comfortable here. It's not pretentious like some places in LA can be. So people love to record in these like almost dingy basement-y type places because that's like where they wrote their first song and they just feel like themselves. And
cool.
So how can I design places where people feel comfortable? So instead of these stuffy, cold, corporate-looking business rooms, how can I make it feel more creative and comfy the way that Nashville draws greatness out of their artists? Because everybody's an artist in some way. You're either a business artist, you're a creator. We're all made to be a creator of some kind. And your work gets to be your form of creation a lot of times, which is fun. So how do you draw that side of a human being, knowing that it's part of their soul, out of them? That is where innovation space came from. So
It's crazy.
That's the checklist of my logic, is asking a buttload of questions. And then once you've figured out that template, how do you take that template and apply it to other spaces, other industries, other nations?
Take the time to make that template, my listeners. Come on. Because your work is your creation, right? You are an innovator. If you're listening to this, people listen to podcasts, want to better their lives.
Mm-hmm.
You naturally want to pour in greatness to the world. If you're listening to this, you've made it this far through this many episodes. That means that you have a natural ability to create.
Mm-hmm.
So sit down and think through how you can be more creative. Because if you're anything like me, there was a point in time where you did not believe that you're creative, or that you don't believe that you are creative because you've labeled it and you gave it a specific designation.
Right.
So an example for me was, I can't sing, can't play music, therefore I'm not creative.
Other than
Honky tonk badonkadonk.
honky tonk badonkadonk.
Other
This
than
man
nailing that one.
is so good at that song. It's ridiculous. But it comes with a dance, and I think that dancing might offset some tones.
Yep.
Potentially being off. Nobody cares.
No one cares.
Go ahead.
It's a very, very good song when I sing it. I do it better than you, Trace. So
deal with it, Trace.
I truly did not believe I was creative until I just realized, wait a minute, I'm very creative with words. It doesn't have to be this particular aspect of creation. It doesn't have to be music. It doesn't have to be singing, because I'm in Nashville, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you understand that these labels that you're putting on yourself, they can stem from anything, from anywhere. If you claim that you're not intentional, why? Where did that come from? What is your definition of intentional? Can you change it?
Start defining things for yourself.
Start defining things, because we do that all the time at these summits. This summit that we're about to go into right now, which is Dream, we're going to be doing a lot of that redefining, taking these words, taking these changes. We do that in abundance, taking these small phrases that you live your life by, these rules, these guidelines, these boundaries, these roadblocks, these barriers, these hurdles, all mental. And they're all stemming from definitions, like the definition of a millionaire. I love when we break that one down, right?
Yeah.
That's always so fun to see people's breakthrough. And they're like, are you a millionaire? No. And then you sit down 2 minutes. Well, I guess kind of I'm a millionaire.
Kind of am.
I didn't really. I mean, I guess if you like factor.
If you actually count. Yeah.
But they have that definition.
Yeah.
Don't let your definition stop you, my friends. Come on.
So I've never defined myself as a visionary, ever. I've been around real visionaries, and I don't think that I am one, but I am a great copy paster of great ideas. And I've learned I don't have to reinvent the wheel from I've been around visionaries that are like Naveen Jain and the kind of things that they think about. I just haven't ever gone down that road the way in which the legitness I've been around ever has. And so without, like, I used to always say, I'm not a visionary. And I still would not say that I am. But what Newsom just said is, like, make it work for you. So if I'm not a visionary, but I've done a lot of like new things, then what am I? I am an amazing student that finds things that resonates with the human soul, and I apply it knowing that anything that resonates with the soul is timeless. It is economy collapsing proof. It is COVID proof. It is fear proof. It's all of what makes people terrified and risk averse proof. Because what works no matter what? And what does work is knowing human beings have got to live in what is right for them to achieve fulfillment. So if you can be sourcing your wealth in things that bring you fulfillment, you won't quit on it. If you can be optimizing your assets or your influence or your resources or your network, anything you've been given, because there's so many gifts. I promise you, we could sit down and make probably 50 pages for each person listening to this. And you might think that your life sucks.
Right.
I guarantee you've got something. So how can you start aligning that so that you can be living in your calling and having joy despite what other people would classify as obstacles or a bad day.
Bring it on. Team, I hope you wrote this down. Anything that resonates with the soul is timeless.
That's an investing tip right there.
It is, though.
It really is.
Because now you're starting to transcend time and space and boundaries and beliefs. You're going to impact cities and civilizations, agriculture. Like that's change. Because you get to sit down and go, how can I connect with generations of people through a resolve of the human spirit?
Mm-hmm.
When someone comes to my dry cleaners, when someone comes and has an interaction with my storage facility, how can you help that resonate with their soul?
Mm-hmm.
Let that sink in.
Love that.
Because you have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You are that change.
Easy example, guys.
Hit me with one.
What do humans need? Humans need peace. They operate best from a space of peace. What brings peace for most people? Nature. All right. Well, you live in the middle of downtown Detroit. How can you bring nature into that space? And so we start putting in green walls, green roofs, planters inside the house, sprinkler systems that water your living garden in your home, drooping from your ceiling. Like start in like that little bit of stuff or certain amounts of natural light that gets you that vitamin D to make you happier. Like it's those tweaks on a space that change somebody's experience. And in the event the market collapses, people will still be buying houses.
Mm-hmm.
Less people.
Yeah, but people.
But which house will sell first?
Yeah.
The one that they resonate with in their soul. So it's just that's a real estate tip.
Oh my
but
gosh.
you can do it with every single thing in your life.
Anything.
And so studying trends and movements, not fads, very different. Fads are different than a movement in the earth. So if you don't like the movement, this is a good one. If you don't like the movement, get to the heart of the movement and ask, why is that resonating with so many people, and steal that idea and apply it?
Hello. It is about optimizing your assets. And there's one asset that is most likely top 5.
Oh, yeah.
Most important.
This is huge.
Your network. And if we're talking about optimizing your assets, let's talk about optimizing that network, how you can truly make an impact on the world. We'll see you
in the next episode.